Is Chicago's front office crazy or crazy like a fox? The Bulls are doubling down on winning now, and it's got the NBA world buzzing. But here's the twist: their plan might just be genius. Stick around, because in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you why the Bulls' stubborn pursuit of success could change everything. Or blow up in their face. Welcome to Chicago Bulls News, your go-to source for the latest updates on the Windy City's favorite team. Today, we're tackling a topic that's got the whole fan base buzzing. The Bulls are still trying to win now. I know, shocking stuff, right? But before we get into all the juicy details, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the latest Bulls news and analysis. Alright, let's set the scene here. The Chicago Bulls, our beloved team, the franchise that gave us the GOAT Michael Jordan and 6 championships in the 90s, has been. Well, let's be honest, they've been in a bit of a funk lately. We're talking about a team that hasn't made it past the first round of the playoffs since 2015. That's almost a decade of mediocrity, folks. But here's the kicker: despite all the calls for a rebuild, despite all the trade rumors swirling around our star players, the Bulls front office seems dead set on making another push for contention. First things first, let's talk about the core of this team. We've got Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic. On paper, that's a pretty solid big three. LaVine's a 2-time All-Star with explosive scoring ability. DeRozan's a mid-range maestro who's proven he can still ball out in his 30s. And Vooch? When he's on, he's one of the most versatile big men in the league. But here's the million-dollar question: is this trio enough to compete in the loaded Eastern Conference? Let's look at some numbers. Last season, the Bulls finished 10th in the East with a 40-42 record. Not great, but not terrible either. They made it to the play-in tournament, which, let's be real, is basically the NBA's version of purgatory. You're not bad enough to get a high draft pick, but you're not good enough to make any real noise in the playoffs. Now, some folks might look at those numbers and say, time to pack it in, boys. But the Bulls front office? They're looking at it differently. They're seeing a team that, despite injuries and inconsistency, still managed to hover around .500 and make the play-in. In their minds, with a few tweaks and a little luck in the health department, this could be a team ready to take the next step. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. What exactly are the Bulls doing to try and win now? Well, for starters, they're not blowing up the roster. In fact, they've been surprisingly quiet on the trade front. No blockbuster deals, no fire sales. Instead, they're focusing on internal development and smart, targeted additions. One of the biggest moves they made was bringing in Torrey Craig. Now, Craig might not be a household name, but he's exactly the kind of player the Bulls need. A tough, versatile defender who can knock down open threes. He's the kind of glue guy that every contending team needs. But the Bulls didn't stop there. They also snagged Jevon Carter, a bulldog of a point guard who brings toughness and defensive intensity. And let's not forget about bringing back Kobe White, who showed flashes of brilliance last season. These might not be the splashy moves that get the talking heads on ESPN all riled up, but they're smart, calculated decisions that address specific needs. The Bulls were lacking in perimeter defense and three-point shooting last season. Craig and Carter helped solve both those problems. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Bulls aren't just relying on new additions. They're betting big on internal improvement. And that bet starts with Patrick Williams. Now, I know what you're thinking. Patrick Williams? The guy who's been more potential than production so far? And you're not wrong. Williams has been a bit of an enigma since being drafted 4th overall in 2020. But here's the thing, the kid is still only 22 years old. He's got all the physical tools to be a two-way force in this league. Last season, we saw flashes of what he could be. There were games where he looked like the perfect complementary piece next to LaVine and DeRozan. The Bulls are banking on Williams taking a big leap forward this season. If he can become a consistent threat from three and continue to improve on defense, suddenly this team looks a lot more dangerous. But it's not just Williams. The Bulls are also high on Dosunmu and Dallin Terry. Dosunmu showed promise as a rookie and could be in line for an expanded role. Terry, last year's first-round pick, is still a bit of an unknown quantity, but the potential is there. Now, I can already hear some of you skeptics out there. But YouTuber name, even if all these young guys improve, is it really enough to compete with the likes of Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly? And that's a fair question. The East is tough, no doubt about it. But here's where the Bulls win now mentality gets really interesting. They're not just trying to win now. They're trying to win now while also building for the future. It's a delicate balancing act, but if they can pull it off, it could set this franchise up for long-term success. Think about it. If Williams, Dosunmu, and Terry all take steps forward, suddenly the Bulls have a nice mix of veterans in their prime and young talent on the rise. That's a recipe for sustained success in the NBA. But let's get back to the present. What does all this mean for the upcoming season? Well, it means the Bulls are going all in on this core. They're betting that with better health, continued development from their young guys, and a few smart additions, they can vault themselves back into the playoff picture. Looking at the East, it's easy to pencil in teams like Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly at the top. But after that, things get interesting. The Knicks look tough. The Cavs are on the rise. But there's no reason the Bulls can't be in that mix if things break right. The key, as always, will be health. The Bulls have been bit hard by the injury bug in recent years. If they can keep their core guys on the floor, who knows what could happen? But here's the thing, Bulls fans. Even if this win-now strategy doesn't result in a deep playoff run this year, it's not the end of the world. The Bulls are playing the long game here. They're trying to build a culture of competitiveness, of never giving up. And in the NBA, that mentality can be just as valuable as any superstar. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the Bulls' strategy? Are they making the right moves, or is it time to blow it all up and start over? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. It really helps out the channel. And if you want to stay up to date on all things Bulls, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, Chicago.